All right. Greetings, everyone. Before I get started, so that all the, um, I guess we should call them trolls or not, I do know that I'm sick and I know that it's not a very good sound and I apologize for that. So there is nothing I can do about the quality of my voice right now. Um, so I hope you'll stay, but if it's just too gross, I absolutely understand. So my apologies. Hey, Erica, welcome. Hi, Tootie. How are you doing? Hi, Cat Miss Catherine. Jen Madison, Sandra Chapman, you're the winner. You've been here a long time, Sandra. Hi, Lola Roo. Hello, Ellen B. Erica. Thank you, Erica. Hi, Sandy Hill. Welcome. Hey, Diane. Yeah, it's getting better, Diane. It'll be okay. Hey, child of God, welcome. Good to see you. Nice to have you here. Okay, so I really do wish that I sounded a little bit better, so I apologize, but I don't want to. I've got some really strong feelings about this case, right? And I I just feel like, well, one problem is I've been sick a long time, and I have kept quiet and not talked and tried to, but it seems like God has other plans for me and I'm just going to be sick. So I've decided I'm going to power through. And this is an important case to me. And so I don't want to miss out on the opportunity to be able to talk about and comment on what I know that may help you understand a little bit more of what this guy, Bryan Kohberger, what he did, why he did it, what he's capable of, and where this could be going. Um, I get a lot of flack, or not flack. I get a lot of pushback. I think the people that don't like me will say things like, well, you're not a law enforcement officer. You don't conduct criminal investigations, that kind of thing. And I can accept all that. I understand that when you're FBI or ex New York City cop or whatever, I get that you feel like that the whole true crime thing is your uh, domain, that's your area of expertise. It's what you know about, and therefore your comments on criminal activity should have more merit than others. I get all that, and I can accept that. I don't have a problem with it. But I think people commit crimes for a lot of different reasons, right? Like if you have a child and your child hasn't eaten in 3 days, you probably would be perfectly capable of going in and robbing a restaurant and stealing a T-bone steak to feed your hungry, crying child. That's a completely different motivation. That's a completely different um, that's a completely different set of factors driving the human being than a person who watches the movie Scream and notice that they're sexually excited, stimulated, as the fear and control is witnessed in this movie Scream. That motivation then to go and kill or rob is coming from a completely different perspective. I think the FBI people, profilers and behaviorists, I think that they believe, I think it's a safe bet statement to say that they feel like a large percentage of serial killers or mass murderer, that there is some element of kind of sexual gratification, but they're not talking about in the traditional sense of sexual stimulation. So when we hear about the Idaho 4 and they talk about, oh well, there was no evidence of sexual assault. They're talking about actual assault. They're not talking about the internal subjective experience of the killer. I think that people, you got to understand motivation. Whether somebody's killing because they're hungry and you're the only thing standing in between you and that T-bone steak, or whether you kill because the feelings that you get when you think about controlling another person, the excitation and the strong dopamine rush that you're getting as you think about ending the life of another person, i.e. playing God. When you're in that position, though, there is that extreme dopamine dump from the murder that normal people would get during an act of, sex, or I guess more accurately, I guess I should say orgasm. So, and there doesn't have to be a sexual assault. Kevin Costner played in a movie about a serial killer, which is a great movie. And in the movie, you can see him watching, he's watching his would-be victim. And as he's fantasizing about what he's going to do to that victim, how he's going to control her and ultimately take her life, you can tell in the movie he orgasms. And he's not even doing anything except fantasize. He's watching and he's planning, and there's an element of fantasy. He then takes photographs so that he can take it back home with him. And that's when he really can take his time and enjoy the imagery of what he did. And so make no mistake about it. If you are hungry and you're willing to kill to get to that T-bone steak, you're not going to take time to take photographs of the steak and then after you kill, go back home and caress the photographs and remember that no. You have an immediate urgency in your need to survive. You've got to have that food. You rush, to do whatever you got to do to get to the food. And then once you're able to get it, then there's some satiation and you feel calm. And indeed, you're probably going to have guilt over what happened. You're probably going to feel bad that you killed somebody in order to ensure your own survival by getting, the necessary food. But in the case of a serial killer, there is no guilt. In the case of a serial killer, there is no moment after satiation of, gosh, I wish I hadn't done that. Yeah, yes, Lula, I am talking about Mr. Brooks is the name of the Kevin Costner movie. And so what I thought I would do, since I was going to actually talk about this at the end of the video, but we can do it now. I think what we'll do is tonight I'm gonna show Mr. Brooks on my YouTube channel and watch it, and people that want to come in and watch it can watch it with me. So because it's directly relevant to what I believe Bryan Kohberger, what I believe he's been motivated by. Okay. Yeah. Power and control. Absolutely, Allie. 100%. I agree. Only once before in all of these true crime cases that we discuss and talk about, only once before have I ever really been solid in my assertion that I believed someone was a psychopath. Do y'all know who the other one was? Anybody? Bueller? Yeah, Chris Watts, right? I believe that Chris Watts is a psychopath, but there's a distinct difference here. I don't believe that Chris Watts committed those murders as an act of titillation. I don't believe that it was an act of pure, immense pleasure. I don't believe it was about control and fear and dominance. I think it was 100% about him retaining his mask, continuing to get to be Chris Watts, the good guy. But just like this guy, Bryan Kohberger, Chris Watts was described as incredibly socially awkward, incredibly awkward. And I believe that because he's so awkward, his natural, the natural preferred public exterior was to be very, very quiet, right? So he's highly agreeable, very quiet, even agreeable in ways that were curious, like a neighbor across the street that he didn't know. The neighbor drives up with groceries and he puts down, he's working in the front yard, and he goes across the street to help bring the groceries into the house. And the neighbor feeling like it was so odd because they didn't know him. It just seemed to, but it was nice, right? How are you going to find fault in somebody coming and helping you bring your groceries in? Thank you, Zelda. I'm so glad you're here. It's good to see you. So same thing with this guy. This guy is, his friends have come out now. And that's actually the title of this video is, when your friend is a psychopath, what kinds of things do you expect to see from a friend who would be a psychopath? Now, the very first friend that I want to talk about is a young lady, and her name is Casey. And Casey knew him in high school. Casey has a brother who knew him very well, right? She knew him very well. They were buddies. They went to parties together. They were friends. And she put out a YouTube video. No, a TikTok video. I apologize. Those of you that have been here a long time, y'all know that I don't use notes. I have a basic outline of what I want to talk about, and then I talk about it. Some of you may ask where my information comes from. I do have a PhD in clinical psychology. So that's one of the reasons why this guy's really interesting to me, because I do think he's unique. I think has a personality type and a physiological makeup that is really rare. So I apologize if I'm not like following a script. It's not comfortable for me to do that. I prefer to just kind of have a conversation with you. So this guy has his friend Casey in high school, and Casey and her brother and there's another friend who doesn't want to be identified, so we're just going to call him B. They're actually spending time together. They go to parties together. They do things together. Now, she's come out with information. She did a TikTok. I'm just a bit curious. We've got over 100 people in here. How many of you have seen the TikTok video? Put a 1. If you saw the original TikTok video where she's quite shaken and she says, "Oh my God, I just found out that my friend Bryan Kohberger is the guy that killed the Idaho 4. If you saw that original, she has since deleted it. She has taken it down. But I'm wondering how many of you saw the original. So let's see how many of you saw the original where she's visibly shaken. Hi, JG, welcome. Go Dallas. If you saw the original, hey, Jezebel. Hey, Daisy Sunshine. Cinnamon, hot. Brewing hell. How you doing? All right. Hey, Crime Sleuthing. Linda. Okay, so still not. I thought there'd be a lot more of you that had seen it. Interesting. Okay. So she has since taken that video down, and has followed up now with multiple TikTok videos. Okay, so she's really putting information out there. Hold up. Okay. Now, so let's go ahead and play. I don't want to play the original video. I have the original video. I'm going to upload the original video for the members, because she doesn't want the video circulating. That's why she deleted it. So I'll put it up for the members, but not for the general view. Okay, but these are new videos that she's put up. Oh, my throat hurts. Hold on a minute. Present. I'm sorry, I'm so gross. I'm very sorry for that. Okay. Okay, so this is not the original. This is not the original. I can't say that enough. Okay, it's not the original. I want to listen to some of this, and I want to comment on this through the lens of what is it like to be friends with a psychopath. All right. Before I play this, I want to reiterate as well. She said that in high school he had a heroin addiction. Now, most people associate heroin addiction kind of with street people, right? But I will tell you that there is this very odd phenomenon. It's not as common now as it was approximately 8 or 10 years ago. But we had a terrible explosion of the children from wealthy families got involved in heroin. Now, was that because of a romanticized view of heroin through the movies with the whole Woodstock craze? Was that because of all the emerging information on the opiate pain pills and the inaccurate statement that pain pills are heroin? I don't know, but we had a real problem with the wealthy kids in the community, meaning like the physicians' children, the lawyers' kids, the teachers, those kids that would traditionally have really been more thought of as like the popular kids, the healthy kids, the kids that were doing well. They were the kids that were showing up with these just massive opiate addictions. And then when you would talk with them, you'd find out they were actually purchasing and using heroin, not pain pills, the real deal. And it just kind of, all the professionals working in this area were just in shock and couldn't believe how this could have played out, but it did. So I tend to believe her on this point, that this guy did get a heroin addiction. And by all intent purposes, he does look like he comes from a family that might have access to disposable income. Let me put it that way. Okay. So I've seen a lot of people being really skeptical, going, oh, no way was he on heroin, yada, yada. Well, maybe. And another notable thing about this group of young people who were who had in families that were among the more wealthy in the community, another factor, unusual feature for them, was that many of them were able to get clean. When they went through treatment, they were able to kick the habit and go on and not return to their heroin use. There's a lot of reasons for that. I think number one, if you're not living on the streets, if you're living in a $500,000 home with a swimming pool in the backyard, it's really easy to learn coping skills and then to use them. If you're not hungry at night, if you're not living in the inner city and terrified, every minute of the day, getting clean is one thing. Maintaining sobriety is a completely different problem because of all of the stressors that people encounter day to day. So I believe this young lady when she says that he developed a heroin addiction and now he's been able to kick the heroin addiction. Yeah, heroin chic era, exactly, Cinnamon. Yeah. And he's been able to kick the addiction. He has become a vegan, which would be consistent with someone who had made a commitment to health, right? And then has now gone on and, ostensibly done well academically. If you get accepted into a PhD program, you're a fairly intelligent human being that has got a clear mind. Now, I don't mean healthy. I don't mean no personality problems. I don't, that's not what I mean. I mean, your thoughts are clear. You got a good memory. IQ is intact. So your short-term memory, long-term memory, all that's clicking, serial killers are, it is notable that a successful serial killer is of a moderate to high IQ, because a lot of people that would be serial killers, but they're dumb, they get caught the first go around, right? So this guy, intelligent enough to get into a PhD program. He obviously wrote a master's thesis. He's maintained a lifestyle, health-focused lifestyle, which is purely selfish. Don't get that wrong. And yes, he got caught, but I'm not altogether convinced that he hasn't done it before. I don't think this was the first kill. I really don't think that. I recognize what you're saying, Tommy, but I don't think that's correct. I think he is a serial killer. Okay. So with a mass murderer, there is boiling rage that is focused on a point of explosion, correct? It's a burn the house down. It's a one and done. For a serial killer, that is not what it is at all. The greatest amount of the cycle for the serial killer is in the titillation and planning and afterglow. The killing itself is not the opus. The killing itself is not the end point. There's an afterglow. There's build up. It's I don't want to make that. I don't want to say that here. But a mass killer, murderer, it's focused on this one goal. It's focused on inflict as much damage as humanly possible. And then most of them will say, kill yourself. Most of them will say, after I've inflicted all this damage and carnage and destruction, then I end my own life. I don't believe that is what Bryan is at all. I think he is highly focused on the romance of being one of the great serial killers. I think he's highly narcissistic. I think he has delusions of greatness, delusions of grandeur. He sees himself as a modern day Ted Bundy or Dahmer. I actually think that the Dahmer series was the switch. I actually believe do me okay, I know I'm sick and I know my temper. Do me a favor, just let's not tell people to go to other people's channels. Can we just not do that? That's probably a really good idea. Like I tell people to go to other people's channels all the time, like at the end of the video, right? But probably not like right in the middle of the video.
With 1,000,001 questions. Number one, why did I take the video down? Again, out of respect for my friends. I was in shock. I posted the video without thinking. I didn't blur out faces. I didn't blur out names. I just wanted to get how I knew him out there. But yeah, I took it down. I know the internet is forever. I know it's now circulating and it's everywhere. And I just respectfully asked if you see it, just to get them to take it down or at least blur their names and their faces. Yeah, because I talked to my friends and they don't want anything up. I'm not going to be reposting, even with blurred faces. It's out there. If you've seen it, you've seen it. Number two, why did I post without asking them? Again, I was in shock. I didn't. It was the last thing on my mind. I was friends with him.
And to me, this rings true, right? You put yourself in her shoes. You're just going about your day, being a normal person, and somebody calls and says, "Oh my God," and then insert your best friend from high school and say, "This is the guy that killed Kylie Rodney." You too would be flustered. Like you would also be you would be motivated to do something. Like the instinct would kick in and you would be energized. There'd be a great deal of norepinephrine going and you would think, I have to do something. There's something I have to do. I'm connected to this great tragedy now, and there's something I've got to do. Not that she understands that. It's just a neurological survival mechanism. And so what do we do in today's world? We pick up the phone and go live. I mean, it sounds crazy. It sounds nutty for those of us that didn't grow up in a world with social media. But for those people that this is their life, it's what they do. They get online and they tell the people they know online, hey, let me give you this information. Now then, please, this young lady has already said that she got as many of her screenshots, as much of her Facebook that she could recall, because he deleted his Facebook. He had Facebook all this time, and he deleted it as part of his preparation, I believe, for what he was embarking upon. But she had things, communications with him that she still had access to. And so she began to take screenshots of everything that she could. She knew that he had tried to delete it, but she was able to pull back conversations that she had with him and such. So she had taken screenshots of all that. She had text messaging with him that she documented. And so everything that she could collect, the mother, the brother, the other friend B, they all memorialized, documented all of the information that they had with this guy. They called the tip line. They told the cops, we have all of this. We know him well. Like we were really great friends in high school and with lots of interaction. And so then the cops sent somebody and probably it was an FBI agent, would be my guess. And so all the information was given to the cops yesterday. They have everything. So there's people being really rude to this girl. And we know what the internet's like. We know what the trolls do. We know. We've seen it. She did do all of those things. But that initial, oh my God, I know this guy, was really more of of kind of reaching out to her people, her friends on social media and going, oh my God, I can't believe this. She also was following the case of the Idaho 4. She was very interested in what was happening. In the same way that Kaylee Goncalves was really interested in the Summer Wells case and was really interested in what was going on with Kylie Rodney. Part of me wonders if that's not the connection. Did this guy, Bryan, maybe he too was following Chronicles of Olivia, and that's how he kind of got this stumbled cross paths with Kaylee. It's hard to know where, but somehow, some way, one of those people in that house, and I firmly believe that it was Kaylee Goncalves and Maddie Mogan that got his attention. They were beautiful. Can we be honest? They were gorgeous. Recent photographs of Xana looked like she had dyed her hair blonde. You got to admit, these 5 girls living at this house, they were a striking image. Can you imagine seeing them walking across campus? All 5 of them, absolutely stunning, beautiful girls, right? He lived on campus for 3 weeks. He lived there, I said 3 weeks, 3 months, I'm sorry. He lived on campus in married student housing kind of apartments. He lived on campus at WSU. He lived on campus. He had an office because he was a PhD student. He had an office there on campus. He was a teaching assistant there. And you just have to wonder, did he go over to University of Idaho and was he just kind of hanging around watching the students? Or is it possible that the girls were over at WSU for some reason, going to the corner club? It's an iconic bar, like a sports bar. It's well known. It's the guy that owns it was a accomplished athlete back in his prime. Maybe he crossed paths with them there, but without a doubt, wherever he happened to notice them, wherever he happened to see them, they were a striking image, right? They all 5 together, 2 or 3 of them together. They were a stunning group of girls. There's no doubt. Well, if he's playing out a movie in his head, that's not real. He's got this Machiavellian, he's acting out. Okay, so I guess y'all know what the dark tetrad is, right? Okay, I don't feel good. Okay, so when he was getting his master's degree, he studied under a famous and great criminologist who is also an author, who wrote books about serial killers. So he is a guy who has some poor reality testing. He is a guy with psychopathic tendencies, and I believe he has a thought disorder. Okay. And so he's sitting in class with this famed author. She has acknowledged publicly he was one of her students. He was one of her students. She knows him. They work together. I haven't been able to figure out if she worked with his thesis, but I think possibly based on his questionnaire. But anyway, that's beside the point. From a Machiavellian, so in reactance, from a Machiavellian perspective, a person is being very controlled and intentional. Now, they're doing things to achieve a goal. It's what we call goal-directed behavior. They're taking steps to do things to achieve a goal, but in a Machiavellian construct, they don't care who carries the cost. The most important thing to them is goal attainment. And if they hurt someone, oh well. It's not even any. If the dark tetrad is active, and they're truly committed to this whole Machiavellianism in the way they approach things, then the collateral damage in their quest for goal attainment is acceptable. It's the ultimate in narcissistic endeavor. It doesn't matter. Other people that are less smart than you, they're less worthy than you, then it's their job to be sacrificed for your needs. If you're the smartest one in the room, if you're the most important in the room, if you're the most handsome in the room, if you're the person with the greatest potential in the room, then all of those people that you have to harm to attain your apex, then those people were put there as tools to make it possible for you to achieve your end goal. And that's kind of like a really dramatic but really concise picture of this idea of Machiavellianism with regards to the dark tetrad. And it is the thing that makes the Bill Gates of the world, right? I mean, that is a really good descriptor for those types of people. But when you're talking about a guy that really, he's strong in psychopathic deviancy, I hesitated. I actually even kind of thought about not bringing up the dark triad, or tetrad is technically what it's called. I hesitated to bring that up because I think too many people try to say that if you're a psychopath, that the dark tetrad is accurate. No, it's not. There are plenty of psychopaths out there that will ultimately act out in a fit of rage and create a messy scene, just like what happened at the house. Now, is that what his intent was? No, I don't think so. I think studying underneath this famous author, I think that began to feed his own delusions of grandeur. I think he was looking at her and fantasizing about, one day I'm going to be her. One day people are going to be looking up to me. One day I'll be the one that's writing the books about famous, serial killers, yada, yada, yada. And oh, well, if I have to do this, if I have to act out what a serial killer does, if I have to mimic what they do and the actions they go through in order for me to achieve a higher level of understanding, then that's just the price I'm willing to pay, and I will do it. Now, I do think that there was deviancy lurking. I think he wanted to do it. I think he was excited by the idea of, playing God for a moment. But I think when he got in that house and the reality of what he was going through kind of hit home, then he was like, oh shit, this is not romantic like it looked in the movies. This is something else. I wonder to myself so for those of you that haven't been to my channel before, I believe that he came in with the focus being on Kaylee and Maddie. I think he studied them and hunted them. I think he had it planned out, and it's possible the cops may actually find evidence of that stalking and hunting once they get through all of his information. He did clean up. There's evidence that he had social media presence, and now it's, only particles of that available. And his friend Casey does say Well, he had a Facebook, but he did delete it. And she said, I'm not sure if the Instagram accounts are really his. I think they're people that are making up fake Instagram accounts. It does look like he cleaned up. So I would be highly suspect of someone saying that this was his Instagram account. I'm just suspect of that. I think he went in intent on the girls. He did what he wanted to do there, and it was a much different picture. Once he came down the stairs, he either was surprised by Xana or by Ethan. I don't think that they were intended to be targeted. I think one of them was out of the bedroom. One of the girls downstairs says that they heard Ethan talking to him, quote unquote. I think there may have been a moment where, Ethan's getting a drink of water, or going to the bathroom or something, and the guy comes down the stairs not realizing that someone is up, and he says, "Hey, what the hell are you doing here?" And that is the reason why the cops said on the fight that happened on the second floor in Ethan and Xana's room that it was a fight to the death, that it was a totally different situation than the top floor. And I think at that point, then once he managed to finally overpower Xana and Ethan, then he made his getaway. Spent a lot of questions about the two survivors in the ground floor. I never thought they were involved. I always thought it was very unusual that they did not open their door until afternoon. And even when they opened their door, they did not open until they called friends to come over first. So that was very strange to me. So all that aside. All right, so let's go ahead and hear more about what Casey has to say about Bryan Kohberger.
And that's that. Number 3, what does his character from 5 to 10 years ago have to do with him now?
A lot.
It could mean nothing.
It could mean a lot.
But again, someone's character 5 to 10 years ago, I mean,
yes, it's important
in some type of way. If not, who knows? Like
yeah,
I said,
it's very important.
He was on heroin in high school. He seemed to have gotten clean. That's who I knew him as. There are people who know him now that will have better answers than I do. That's
not really. Okay.
Before, did I report to the tip?
Okay, so the reason that I say that it's not really that people know him now are more helpful than her information from 10 years ago. When I do evaluations, I am not content to gather data points just from the last year or two. You always have to have a yardstick, and the best way to talk about someone and compare them is to compare them to themselves, not to other people. Now, we do that in testing and evaluation. We test and we compare against the norms that have been gathered from, norming instruments on 30,000 other people or whatever. But ultimately, I'm always going to go in search of historical data, and the best place to do that is school records. And so I'll go back, or I'll ask family members, go back and get as many of your old testing documents as you can, special education evaluations, behavior from school records, anything like that. If you can get me elementary grade documents, I'm thrilled. There are many of our diagnoses and tracking that is done that we look at age of emergence, like when are you first beginning to see some of these these behaviors and symptoms? When did they reach threshold for a diagnosis, at what age? And then those types of age-related phenomenon can inform adult diagnoses, more contemporary changes in condition. So, no, she's absolutely correct that they've gotten look, these FBI behaviorists, these people are going to go back. They are going to take every bit of school records, every psychologist that he ever went to, any medical record out there available. They're going to consume everything they can get their hands on, because it paints a picture, a trajectory of lifespan from earliest experiences up to today, and patterns begin to emerge.
tip line, yes. The constant comments saying that I shouldn't have posted a TikTok and should have just went to the tip line, I did. I called, my mom called, my brother called, they gave their statements. I gave them a novel of an email, including a Google Drive full of screenshots, photos I had, everything. I reported to the tip line, please stop telling me that I have to do it and that I shouldn't be posting a TikTok and just sending it to them. I did. It went to the tip line. Number 5, well, I talked to reporters. I am bombarded with reporters. The TikTok blew up. I just wanted to get out to the people that I feel like would want the information that I knew on him. But it blew up and I can't stop that now. I talked to a couple of reporters already. I will be talking to more.
There's something else I don't understand, people. This is one of the, oh, that's not a very flattering hold on. Okay, sorry about that, Casey. Here's something else I don't understand. I don't understand why it is that people that are following one of the biggest cases that we've seen in terms of mainstream media coverage, right? I don't understand why now the same people that are following this huge case, why are they now coming out after this girl who is saying, I know this guy and I have stories about him and it's interesting and I'm happy to tell you about it. Why come out and attack her and say, oh, you're just clout chasing? You think it's clout for her to say, I know this man that slaughtered 4 young people, that extinguished lives? No, she's helping this family. Or the 4 families. Do you remember Steve Goncalves? He's paid a private investigator. He's paid an attorney. He is hungry for information. The sister of Kaylee is the one who uncovered the Twitch stream. She's the one that got the proper time frame down. When you are a victim of crime, and the families of the murdered are victims of this crime, they are starving for information. They are hungry for details, right? And it's part of the healing process. It's an integral and important part of the healing process to seek out knowledge and information. As much knowledge as you can gather about your trauma, then the more advanced you are in your ability to heal. People that have very little information, they get locked into a time frame. They're stuck at that point in time and they lose the ability to developmentally progress. It can be a nightmare. And so this young woman speaking out, it took incredible courage to talk to a mainstream media person is a leap of faith, to say the least, because they're not the most ethical people on the planet. You know what I mean? They do have a way of changing your words and twisting what you say. She is trying to put information out there that's accurate. There's going to be plenty of crazy people that put information out there that's wrong. There's going to be people crazy out there that are clout chasers, that are trying to put things out there. This young woman is just reacting in the moment, and her mother knew Bryan. Her brother was very, very good friends with Bryan. She has another great friend who was good friends with Bryan. These people knew him. The information that they have is important information. It'll be important for the prosecution of this guy. It'll be important for the families in their healing. This is good what she's doing. So I hope that if you guys see people attacking her, these little trolls that run around and they do their whole virtue signaling and, oh, she's so suspect because she's out talking and she shouldn't be doing that. She should be respecting the families. Oh, no. If you really knew what you were talking about, you would be grateful. The families are grateful that she is speaking out. I guarantee you the families are going to reach out to this girl and thank her and want to know more in terms of like more private information that she may not want to put out there, on the internet. So good for her. That's all I got to say. And I am going to be committed. If I see these kinds of comments and stuff, I'm going to totally comment and say, you know what? You're being a troll. You don't know what you're talking about. This girl is showing bravery and she's doing the right thing. She's doing it right. I don't know why they attack, because there are people that use virtue signaling to build themselves up. They're narcissistic at heart. And so they love to be able to say, oh, well, I would never do that. I'm not the kind of person that would do that. No, you're doing something a hell of a lot worse. Just sit back and shut up. Don't inject yourself into a situation that has nothing to do with you. This young woman has a story to tell. It is her right to tell her story. And the family members of the Idaho 4 will be, their path to healing will be paved. It will be an addition to the paving of that journey to health, to healing. Hearing what she has to say, it will contribute to a level of understanding, and that is a necessary and sufficient foundation that they need.
They want to know who he was and how I knew him, and that's I will do that. I'm going to make another video because, again, I don't have 6-minute, 10-minute videos. I only have 3, so I'll post another part. Okay, I'm just going to jump right into it. I had to write myself a flashcard with 1,000,001 questions.
Why isn't it going? Hold on.
Number 1, why did I take the video down? Again, out of respect for my friends. I was in shock.
Hold on, we'll go to the next one. This is a big one.
I removed all the videos out of respect for my friends. They didn't want them up. It was my fault. I did not block out any faces. I was giving real names, and I was not going to allow my friends to be defamated. I don't know the word, but I removed the videos.
Exploited.
Of their request to have them put down. I will make a repost without their faces in them. But I did remove the videos because, again,
Film a white wall. If someone...
Okay, I'm just going to jump right into it. I had to write myself a flashcard with 1,000,001 questions.
Okay, we already did that one.
Okay, jumping back in. I don't know what number I'm on, but the video of the caller on the podcast, I believe that's him. It sounds exactly like him, in my opinion. I sent it to my brother. He said that Bryan usually spoke with more clarity and certainty.
Okay, question for my people. Do y'all know what she's talking about here? I agree, Zelda. I do think so, Tommy. Tommy's question, I never heard if you addressed it, but do you think Bryan was the stalker Kaylee felt was stalking her? Is that T-Rev? Yes, I do think that Kaylee was aware of Bryan stalking her. Yes, Tommy. Yes. T-Rev 757. Is that what they're talking about, Allie? A YouTuber that was taking call-ins. T-Rev had a caller 2 weeks ago. I believe Bryan called in and someone who knew him listened to his voice and said that it was him. Wow. Is Crime Sleuthing still here? Allegedly, the killer called into T-Rev. I would love to play that, but it's hard for me to find it while y'all are here in the chat, and I hate to take away from that. Or Allie, could you go? Okay, yeah, but that's Melon. That's what this girl is talking about. She says she thinks it is him. If somebody could go and find that so that we can play it on the channel, that would be, I mean, that'd be really helpful. But let's listen. Now that we know what she's referring to, let's listen and see if she thinks that it's him, because she knows him, right? And her brother was really, really good friends with him.
I believe that's him. It sounds exactly like him, in my opinion. I said it to my brother. He said that Bryan usually spoke with more clarity and certainty. So he can't be 100% sure if he believes that's him, but I think it sounds exactly like him.
Okay. Now, that is consistent with current friends who have said that when Bryan talks, he talks in a way to make sure that everybody knows that he's the smartest person in the room. Yeah, his friends that he has now, they don't like him very much. They didn't outright throw shade at him, right? But they said that he had, the way it's described is that he had a real need for people to believe that he was the smartest person. That if he was to try to answer something, he answers it like in a really big way, using really technical terms. We've known people like that, right? That's part of the narcissist expression. That if they can talk in a way that make you feel like you don't know what the hell you're talking about, then they feel like they've done a great job communicating. Because they're narcissists. They want people to think, oh, wow, he's just so much smarter than me that I don't even know what to think. I'm the exact opposite. I'm just like, hey, I'm here to teach you something. I don't mean on YouTube, like in my classroom. I'm here to teach you something. I am willing to break it down into its most simple, amusing, concrete manner, as long as you get the concept I'm teaching, right? I don't have any interest in this whole, oh, I'm the PhD and that means I'm smarter and better than you, and so you need to give me the deference that I, am entitled to. When I see those people, I steer the other way. I don't have any room for all of that foolishness. It's just a job. You've got training, and you're trained to do a job, period. Tweeted you the link. Ha, Allie, you're awesome. Thank you. All right, let me go over to Twitter. This is one day that I wish I was not sick. I promise y'all that. I don't have a tweet. Maybe. Nope. I do not have a tweet from you, Allie. Copy. All right, Allie. Here, it's not in the DM. Paste. Okay, here's my Twitter. Hey, Med Girl, look above. I wondered about the Greek restaurant, Tommy. I posted the video on your chat. On my Twitter chat? I don't see it. Could not direct message. Put the link in the chat. I think it's blocking the links. Just replied to a tweet. Okay. Ha, thank you. Idaho 4. Okay, y'all bear with me. I'm working on this. Hold on. I have a question, Allie. Is this only of the call? Can I play that whole video? Oh my God, Pam. Thank you, Diane. Okay, so this is only the whole thing is just the call. I can play the whole thing. Is that right? That's what I'm trying to find out, Katerina. I bet voice analysis folks will have a field day with this call. It'll be very interesting. Okay. Thank you, Allie. Okay, awesome. Awesome, awesome. All right, and so it's called Idaho 4 Call in Live. Okay, let me share this. Share. Let me make sure the sound is turned on too. Also, I don't know if there's anybody here that wants to come up and have a conversation, comment, whatever. But I'll put a link in the chat if you want to come up on panel. I'm not going to add anybody to panel while I'm showing the video, though, okay? But if y'all want to come up, that'll be awesome. All right, so let me play this. Thank you, Allie, for your help. Ah, come on.
Hey, what's up, Dave? You live?
Hey, what's up, man? Is this T-Red?
Yes, sir. What's going on?
Not much, man. I found you today. I watched your live earlier this afternoon and been watching this one. And the thing that strikes me kind of weird about all this is that I live in a college town, and I've worked with probably at least 10 Sigma Chi members. And, you know, the one thing that every single one of them I feel like has asked me is, if you were going to kill somebody, how would you get away with it? And I just wonder if maybe this is nothing more than some kid in a fraternity trying to prove himself.
Okay, there's through Machiavellianism for the dark tetrad, okay? So thank y'all. Man, this is awesome that y'all gave this to me. I hadn't planned on it, but this is amazing. Okay, so that is your Machiavellianism at work. I'm going under the assumption that this is, in fact, Bryan Kohberger. Okay, so, and the reason, this is not just blind faith. The reason that I'm saying that I'm going to make the assumption that this is, in fact, Bryan Kohberger is because we have Casey and her brother who have both said, yeah, it's probably him. Okay, so that being said, now then, this is Machiavellianism in action. He has this inflated sense of self right now. He's really self-important, and he is feeling smug, and he is feeling smart, and he is feeling dominant over all others. And what he has done here is he's taken a couple of normal questions of, you know, these girls seem like they were always around Sigma Chi guys, right? Maybe one of them had something to do with it. Maybe it was like a jilted lover problem. Maybe it was a, you know, kind of thing. So maybe we should look at the fraternity guys. That's a perfectly natural, normal assumption. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But what Bryan Kohberger is doing, he is guiding people to suspect the Sigma Chi, and he is providing motive to make it easier for people to believe, yes, it was definitely one of the fraternity guys. And the reason that one of the fraternity guys did it is because he was trying to prove himself. Well, you and I understand without any shadow of a doubt that a healthy person doesn't look at murder, much less quadruple murder, as an act of proving one's manhood. That's just silly, right? It's just ridiculous. No, this is for him to say that as a way of like proving himself. He's just revealed that he himself is not confident in his own manhood. That for him, because he has a thought disorder, because he has an identity problem, that for him, killing another person, exerting life or death choices over another human being, that is the ultimate act of his power. That's the ultimate act of, yes, I am worthy. Yes, I am someone who is important. So in this very first couple of sentences, I already know so much about him, if this in fact is who it is. So Machiavellianism, he doesn't care if one of the Sigma Chi end up getting framed and goes down as the murderer. He doesn't care. If it were to happen, then he would like it. It would build him up. He would think, well, of course I'm not supposed to get caught for what I did. I'm special. They are not. They are necessary and appropriate collateral damage so that I can continue my greatness. You see how this works? Ooh, this is good. This is so good.
And that was it.
So you said you worked with 5 or 6 Sigma Chi kids, and they asked you if you can kill somebody, they can get away with it?
Yeah.
Did I hear that right?
Yeah. And I know that's a thing that just like maybe people say, trying to like have interesting conversation, but like just in my head, it's like it's always been these dudes that were in the fraternity. And so it makes me wonder if it's a thing that's in their like culture, that they ask to see how smart you are and whatever, and what kind of answer you come up with, and someone took it too far.
Oh, wow. What kind of dudes would ask you that?
O.J. Simpson did.
That's crazy as shit, man. That's an outrageous statement, man. I mean, I'd write their names down.
Yeah, man. Like I like horror movies and all that kind of stuff, and I'll watch those kind of things. But like when someone like in person says some stuff like that, it's kind of like jarring. It's like, what? Why are you saying something like that?
Yeah, that's man. Who said that to you?
Like, literally, like, I before I even called, I counted on my hands, like how many of these guys I can remember that I worked with at this bar, and there's like 10 of them. I swore that question has always come up, and
that he worked with at a bar. So was this guy working at the corner club?
it could just be nothing. Like maybe people say that, but it makes me wonder if that's a part of that thing, and like someone just took that question and that idea and like took it too far. Like, oh, I'm going to prove to these guys that I'm in the club or whatever.
So let me hear this right.
That's so bizarre. So he's telling you, yeah, works at a bar. So it's so telling, right? T-Rev is a recording artist and he does spirit boxes. I don't have any patience for the whole spirit boxing. This is confirmed to be Bryan on this call. That's what we were just talking about. So two people that knew Bryan from high school, they have said they believe it is him. Okay. Working maybe refers to his study. What happened to my? What happened?
Right. You said you were working with 6 Sigma Chi guys, and they said how could they get away with killing somebody?
Yeah, more like 10. But they would say that to me. They would say like,
You are fake news.
if you were going to kill somebody, how would you get away with that?
And
You know?
what are these guys' names?
Well, I'm not going to.
Let me get
put their
like,
names
come
out.
on, drop 2 or 3 of them, first and last.
First and last.
That's a broad statement. I mean, you're calling me with this information when you should be on the phone with the police.
Yep, I agree.
Well, I'm in a different state.
I don't care if you're in Mexico. If that's the case, and the people from the Sigma Chi told you that how can you get away with murder? I mean, I'd be on the phone telling them that.
Well, I guess what I'm trying to say is maybe it's like an exercise of like, if you were going to make pasta for 100 people, how would you like prepare? How would you like execute that?
Oh, okay. So we're going to use words like prepare and execute when we're talking about making pasta. Number one, remember that overinflated sense of self, the whole narcissistic reveals itself. And that he is giving the analogy of you baking pasta to killing a person. This guy is completely, there's not much.
Like, it's not like they're actually asking you because they want to do it. It's more like, how smart are you? How good are you? That's what I'm getting at, is that.
And that is what drives you, right, Bryan? You got to prove how smart you are. You got to prove how good you are. And you think that if you can commit murder and not get caught, then you're better than all those people that refuse to accept you. All of those cliques that you were never allowed to be a part of, you become part of the greats, like Jeffrey Dahmer and Ted Bundy. And actually, did you know the murders happened on Charles Manson's birthday? So this guy, he has constructed a mask. He knows he doesn't fit in. You can hear the weakness in this guy. And yet he's using words, like execute for the cooking of pasta. He's trying to sound more intelligent than he actually is. And all he knows is, now I'm going to do the Machiavellian part, and I'm going to guide the investigation into the wrong direction. If I can get everybody looking and thinking about one of the Sigma Chi guys did it, then that's fewer police officers to be investigating and thinking about me. So that's the whole point of why he's saying, oh, you guys better check out those Sigma Chi's. They're not only were they hanging out with the Sigma Chi boys all the time, but I even had those Sigma Chi boys telling me, oh, if you were going to commit murder and get away with it, how would you do it? By the way, wasn't that exactly what his little research project was? Tell us what you were thinking and feeling before, during, and after the crime. Isn't that just a bit of a more sophisticated way of asking the question, how would you kill someone and get away with it?
Maybe they're saying,
premeditated creepypasta and execution. I love you, Shalimar. The truth always seeps out, right, Callie? That's right, Katerina.
Yay!
They will seek the death penalty, yes. I'm sure he... Oh, there are definite posts. I have some of them, Kate.
How much more in my face proof do I need?
You don't need any more proof. He has shown you enough.
Oh, that was
I'm going to
apropos.
present you with this question and see like how, capable you are like with problem solving and this and that. And
Again,
maybe
he's proven how smart he
somebody
is.
at that fraternity took that question and took it too far.
So you're saying, so you were saying you were in Moscow.
No, I wasn't in Moscow. No, I'm in a different state.
So, but you're saying you're in a different state, but you just said
The Sigma Chi's.
Chi house people. That's how they would get away with murder. So how would somebody ask you that if you're in a
That's
different
right.
state? Where did that come from?
I guess what
You
I'm
went from 5 to 10. So I mean, honestly, it doesn't even it sounds inconsistent.
Good job, T-Rev.
I worked with at least 10 Sigma Chi members, but it was in a different state, not from
Bullshit.
not in Moscow, in a different state. I'm just saying maybe the culture of that fraternity, like they have questions that they ask, and maybe somebody took that question too literally and too seriously as a way to prove themselves.
And what state are you in?
I'm in Utah.
So I mean, you can't give up the identity of anybody who asks you that. You don't think that's important to the families that need justice? That these people
Well,
that
no,
are, that
I
can
mean,
I
get
really like this
I
Rev
worked
guy.
with these people. This is probably 10 years ago. I'm not trying
Oh,
to say
now
that
it was
I know the
10 years
literal
ago,
people.
y'all.
This is more of a me kind of scrutinizing the culture of like secret societies or whatever, like
Secret
fraternities, like
societies.
this club mentality, like our group and
That you
our
were
thing.
always kept out of, weren't you, Bryan?
Which I don't have a problem with it necessarily, but it's a thing that's kind of been in the back of my mind through all this.
I mean, that's pretty crazy, man. I'm just trying to figure out like who would ask you that and why you wouldn't even report something like that. If somebody asked me that shit, you wouldn't report that to the authorities?
I just kind of thought they were kind of trying to be edgy or something, Like, if you ran over your neighbor's dog, how would you get away with it? Kind of that kind of attitude.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but why would that
wow.
conversation even come about?
I don't
O.J.
know.
Simpson
I
had
don't-
that conversation.
That's my thing. That's why it's
And you're saying you're a teacher?
stuck with me. I'm not a teacher, no. No, I worked at a bar with some frat boys.
Okay. And
But it just makes me wonder if the culture of fraternities and that kind of thing, the things that they do, maybe it went too far.
I don't know, man.
Does that sound like a thing? Have you heard anything like that? Or
No.
I don't know.
No, Bryan.
I get what you're saying, but at the same time, like,
Not for dead. No.
I just don't understand how. First of all, how old are these people that you were working with? How old do you think they are now?
A lot of them are probably in their late 30s, early 30s.
If you're struggling to lose weight,
Wow.
you need to see this right now. A breakthrough 5-second ice hack has just...
And
So
I
you-
don't think they had anything to do with this. I'm just wondering more about like if the Greek,
No, he says at the very beginning, he says, I noticed that, she was always around the Sigma Chi guys, right? Will y'all do, mods, can y'all do me a favor and drop the link for T-Rev's channel so that everybody can go over there and subscribe and listen to his videos and all that. Can we do that, please?
The fraternity, sorority thing, like, that they've got stuff going on in there that, like, someone feels like they got to prove themselves, and they take a benign kind of question that's more about trying to, ask you like to prove yourself, how smart you are, and they took it too far.
Okay. Trying to think here, man.
Boy, he is not very
So,
sophisticated.
I mean, are these people that you've seen on a regular night basis at where you worked at the bar? Or are these people that
Yeah, I worked with them.
So, how do you know? And you said you never lived out there.
Mm-mm.
So
No.
how do you know they went to the Sigma Chi?
Because they did, because I know they did. Like, some of them lived at that house in Utah where I live. I just, I'm not saying that all fraternity members are murderers. What I'm saying is, like, maybe questions like that and things,
No. I get what you're saying on that end. I'm asking you, how do you know they were at the Sigma Chi? Because if you live in Utah, how do you know all these 5 to 10 guys went to the Sigma Chi? In case you're friends with them, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, I worked with them, and then I'd actually been up to their house at, like, some parties before.
Okay.
It wasn't.
I'm not trying to back on you, but I'm just trying to figure out. I'm trying to grasp how you knew these guys, or you get what I'm saying? I'm trying to grasp how you knew they went to the Sigma Chi. How? That's what I'm trying to get to.
Yeah, some of them lived there, and I went up there and, like, hung out, and, like, they were all nice and everyone was pretty cool. I guess I'm wondering if there's, like, a thing, because they have secret things they do in those fraternities, and it makes me wonder if, like, questions like that, like, if you were going to murder somebody, how would you get away with it? That's maybe more trying to, like, figure out, like, how smart you are. Somebody took it too literally and thought they could prove themselves.
It kind of makes you think that's what he was thinking, right? That he's studying under this, accomplished and basically world-renowned criminologist and author, and now he's got something to prove. That even if it's just to prove to himself that they all think they're so smart, they all think they're so great. He gets kicked out. He's never accepted fully into the group of intellectual elites and whatnot. And so for his own identity, as part of building up the mask, he's going to commit the ultimate murder, and he's going to get away with it. So interesting.
Kind of my only thing, and that's why I don't know. That's why I called.
I'm just trying to figure out, I'm really, really, really just trying to figure out how you knew that. First you said 5 and then it jumped to 10.
No, it was 10.
Well, first you did say 5 though.
I agree, Honey K.
You said 5 guys and then you jumped up to 10. And I'm just trying to figure out how you knew that. I don't know the Sigma Chi like that. All I know is this Sigma Chi house is in Moscow, Idaho. So
yeah, and I'm not saying that Sigma Chi's are murderers. That's not.
That's exactly what you said.
No, I didn't say you were saying that, but to say that they asked how do you get away with a murder, that's just it's a broad statement.
I agree, Callie.
It's a jarring thing to hear. It's like, what? Like, we're having some beers. Why are you asking questions like that? That's, and I don't think they were asking for advice. I think it was more of a mental exercise. But to me, it's like not that. It's not a cute question. It's messed up.
Yo, are you still trying to lose weight with exercise alone? Guys, it ain't gonna happen without the right diet. That's why there's nutrition.
Right. Huh. Yeah, I see what you're saying, but I mean, you did say 5 at first and then changed it to 10.
Well, okay. Well,
You
yeah,
did, you did. I'm just saying you did. I pay attention to what people say.
Okay, yeah, that's cool.
But I mean, I don't.
get it, man.
Maybe it was 6, 7, 8. I don't. Maybe.
Okay, I don't know anything about this guy. And look, I was up all night reading. I don't know anything about this guy being a member of a social fraternity. He was actually a member of a fraternity that is an academic fraternity for psychology. But that's not anywhere near the same as a social fraternity. So you may see that being reported, but be careful, because an academic fraternity doesn't do the same things that social frat does.
Maybe you can't retract all the way and just said 5 because you were nervous. I have no idea.
I am nervous. I don't normally like call into things and do this kind of thing, but like this has been a thing in the back of my head after like hearing about this stuff for the last few weeks, and it's, I don't know. I just wonder if it if this was even more senseless than a jealous boyfriend or whatever. Like if it was just someone trying to prove themselves and that's it.
Right.
And I don't know. Maybe this is an inappropriate call for your show, but I just boyfriend or whatever. Like if it call into things and do this kind of thing, but like this has been a thing in the back of my head after like hearing about this stuff for the last few weeks, and it's, I don't know. I just wonder if it if this was even more senseless than a jealous boyfriend or whatever. Like if it was just someone trying to prove themselves and that's it.
Right.
And I don't know. Maybe this is an inappropriate call for your show, but
Maybe I'm just more advanced than the listeners of your show. That's what he's saying. Maybe I'm just more insightful and intellectual than the listeners of your show. So I apologize that, I'm burdening you and your listeners with these important questions. That's kind of what he's saying.
I mean, you said Sigma Chi guys, but I mean, if they're in their 30s, it wouldn't. I'm pretty sure most of these other dudes are what? Are they any of them that go to the college now?
Oh no. I'm saying they're probably in their 30s now. At the time that I worked with these guys like 10 years ago.
Oh, now it's 10 years ago.
I'm not trying to say it's any of these guys. I'm more just going. I'm just trying to say like maybe that they have the culture of fraternity life has weird questions and weird stuff that comes up, and maybe that's what.
Bryan, you don't know anything about the Greek life because you were never accepted into the Greek life. And that's one of the things that's made you the monster you are today, is lack of acceptance.
Motivated someone to do something like this.
Right. Now, just when I hear something like that, you're like 5 to 10 dudes. You did say 5 and then you changed it to 10, but I'll give you the benefit of the doubt on that you're just nervous. But I put it like you were like, they asked you how they can get away with murder or killing somebody or whatever. That just strikes me as super odd.
And he didn't say Greek people. He didn't say fraternity guys in general. He was very specific to say that there were 5 or then changed to 10 Sigma Chi guys that said that to him.
That somebody would even ask you that,
Yeah, they asked me like, how would I do that?
Yeah, how would I? Yeah, how would you do that?
And Bryan's questionnaire said, tell me everything you were thinking and feeling before you committed the crime, while you were committing the crime, and after you did the crime, which is essentially the same question.
That's just
I'm like, I don't know. I don't think about stuff like that. Like, I
Really?
don't know.
Yeah, that is pretty weird.
Seems like you think about stuff like that.
It's just something I thought I'd throw out there. Anyways, I subscribed, and I've enjoyed like listening to your live stream and everything. So thank you. I'll let you get to the next caller, man.
Yeah, no doubt, man.
Yeah. Give me a.
Keep up the good work, dude. Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
be my friend. Forget that I ever said anything. Don't even look at this direction.
Hey, what's up,
I
Dave? You
screwed
live?
up.
Hey, what's up, man? Is this T-Rev?
Yes, sir. What's going on?
Not much, man. I found you today. I watched your live earlier this afternoon and been watching this one. And the thing that strikes me kind of weird about all this is that I live in a college town, and I've worked with probably at least 10 Sigma Chi members. And, you know, the one thing that every single one of them I feel like has asked me is, if you were going to kill somebody, how would you get away with it? And I just wonder if maybe this is nothing more than some kid in a fraternity trying to prove himself. And that was it.
So you said you worked with 5 or 6 Sigma Chi kids, and they asked you if you can kill somebody, they can get away with it?
Yeah.
Did I hear that right?
Yeah. And I know that's a thing that just like maybe people say, trying to like have interesting conversation, but like just in my head, it's like it's always been these dudes that were in the fraternity.
He wants everyone looking at the fraternity.
That's in their like culture, that they ask to see how smart you are and whatever, and what kind of answer you come up with, and someone took it too far.
Oh, wow. What kind of dudes would ask you that?
Well,
that's crazy as shit, man. That's an outrageous statement, man. I'd write their names down.
Yeah, man. Like you know, I like horror movies and all that kind of stuff, and I'll watch those kind of things. But like when someone like in person says some stuff like that, it's kind of like jarring. It's like, what? Why are you saying something like that?
Another question that I have: why is he talking about having this theoretical conversation like O.J. Simpson? If I did it, right? And O.J. did that. He wrote this book he called "If I Did It," and the book is essentially a discussion on how he would have done it and not get caught, right? So this guy is talking about this theoretical idea of, if you were going to commit murder, how would you do it and not get away with it? He's kind of taken this whole intellectual bullshit, you know, holier than thou type discussion. And then he says, well, hey, you know, I like horror movies. I find that interesting that he's connecting in his mind this theoretical discussion on how to get away with murder, and he's interjecting the horror kind of like he lived it. Does that make sense? Most of us, when we're questioned, how would you get away with murder? It's the idea of how would you cover the clues? How would you evade the police? How would you confuse and cover up what you had done? It's a really insulated and very clean and theoretical discussion. You with me? So why is it that he just interjects gory, bloody horror movie? Because he lived it. Because he was there. Wow. That's amazing to listen to this guy.
Yeah, that's man. Who said that to you?
Like literally, like, I before I even called, I counted on my hands, like how many of these guys I can remember that I worked with at this bar, and there's like 10 of them. I swear that question has always come up, and it could just be nothing. Like maybe people say that, but I just it makes me wonder if that's a part of that thing, and like someone just took that question and that idea and like took it too far. Like, oh, I'm going to prove to these guys that I'm in the club or whatever.
So let me hear this
It's
right.
so bizarre.
You said you were working with 6 Sigma Chi guys, and they said how could they get away with killing somebody?
Yeah, more like 10. But they would say that to me. They would say like,
you are fake news.
If you were going to kill somebody, how would you get away with that?
And
you know,
what are these guys' names?
Well, I'm not going to.
Let me get like, come on, drop 2 or 3 of them, first and last.
First and last?
That's a broad statement. I mean, you're calling me with this information when you should be on the phone with the police.
Well, I'm in a different state.
I don't care if you're in Mexico. If that's
kind
case,
of interesting, isn't it?
Sigma Chi, so
That's very interesting. That T-Rev is pinning him down. See, T-Rex he picked up on this guy's off. There's something not right about what this guy's saying, and so when he starts to pin him down, the guy begins to get defensive, like, oh, I didn't do it. I couldn't have done it. I'm in another state. Isn't that hilarious? Isn't that interesting? It's so cool.
Told you that they're gonna how can you get away with murder? I mean, I'd be on the phone telling them that.
Well, I guess what I'm trying to say is maybe it's like an exercise of like, if you were going to make pasta for 100 people, how would you like prepare? How would you like execute that? Like, it's not like they're actually asking you because they want to do it. It's more like, how smart are you? How good are you? That's what I'm getting at, is that maybe they're saying, I'm going to present you with this question and see like how, capable you are like with problem solving and this and that. And
he was proving his capability. He was proving that he's just as important as all those criminologists that he's come in contact with.
Maybe somebody at that fraternity took that question and took it too far.
And so he started with Buddy. He watched the Dahmer thing. He started with Buddy, and he followed the path that was laid out by the Dahmer series.
So you're saying, so you were saying you were in Moscow.
No, I wasn't in Moscow. No, I'm in a different state.
So, but you're saying you're in a different state, but you just said Sigma Chi House people. That's how they would get away with murder. So how would somebody ask you that if you're in a different state? Where did that come from?
I guess what
you went from 5 to 10. So I mean, honestly, it doesn't even say. It sounds inconsistent.
No, I worked with at least 10 Sigma Chi members, but it was in a different state, not in Moscow, in a different state. I'm just saying.
See, now he knows
the culture of that fraternity, like they have questions that they ask, and maybe somebody took that question too literally and too seriously as a way to prove themselves.
And what state are you in?
I'm in Utah.
So, I mean, you can't give up the identity of anybody who asks you that? You don't think that's important to the families that need justice? That these people that could be there?
I worked with these people. This is probably 10 years ago. I'm not trying to say that I know the literal people. This is more of a...
Wait. I'm not trying to say I know the literal people. I just work with these people. Wow, that doesn't make sense. Brian?
Kind of scrutinizing the culture of like, secret societies or whatever, like, you know, fraternities, like this club mentality, like, you know, our group and our thing, which I don't have a problem with it necessarily.
Oh, I think you do have a problem with it necessarily. I certainly think you do have a problem with it, Bryan.
But it's a thing that's kind of been in the back of my mind through all this.
I mean, that's pretty crazy, man. I'm just trying to figure out like who would ask you that and why you wouldn't even report something like that. If somebody asked me that shit, you wouldn't report that to the authorities?
I just kind of thought they were kind of trying to be edgy or something, you know? Like, you know, if you ran over your neighbor's dog, how would you get away with it? Kind of that kind of attitude.
Yeah, but
If you ran over your neighbor's dog, what? Did something happen to a dog, Bryan?
why would that conversation even come about?
I don't know. That's my thing. That's why it's.
And you're saying you're a teacher?
Stuck with me. I'm not a teacher, no. No, I worked at a bar with some frat boys.
Okay.
He must have somehow alluded to being a teacher, which is interesting because he's a teacher.
And
it just makes me wonder if the culture of fraternities and that kind of thing, you know, the things that they do, maybe it went too far.
Again, it's so interesting because he's drawn a definitive line between he and the social fraternities and their secret societies. And yet he seems to know so much about how they do things to the point that these guys are so deplete in character that they would commit murder in order to prove their worth. Prove, hey, I'm as good as all of you guys. Which is interestingly exactly what he did, was to go in and slaughter 4 Greek kids. And now he's trying to have Greek kids under suspicion for killing the 4 Greek kids. As he sits back and laughs and feels superior.
I don't know, man.
Does that sound like a thing? Have you heard anything like that, or I don't know?
I get what you're saying, but at the same time, like, I just don't understand how. First of all, how old are these people that you were working with? How old do you think they are now?
A lot of them are probably in their late 30s, early 30s. And I don't think they had anything to do with this. I'm just wondering more about, like, if the Greek, you know, the fraternity, sorority thing, like, if they've got stuff going on in there that, like, someone feels like they got to prove themselves, and they take a benign kind of question that's more about trying to, you know, ask you like to prove yourself, you know, how smart you are, and they took it too far.
Okay. Trying to think here, man. Are these people that you seen on a regular night basis at where you worked at the bar? Or are these people that you know?
Yeah, I worked with them.
So, how do you know? And you said you never lived out there.
Mm-mm.
So
no.
How do you know they went to the Sigma Chi?
Because they did. Because I know they did. Like, some of them lived at that house in Utah where I live. I'm not saying that all fraternity members are murderers. What I'm saying is, like, maybe questions like that and things, you know.
No. I get what you're saying on that end. I'm asking you, how do you know they were at the Sigma Chi? Because if you live in Utah, how do you know all these 5 to 10 guys went to the Sigma Chi? In case you're friends with them, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, I worked with them, and then I'd actually been up to their house at, like, some parties before.
Okay.
you know, it wasn't.
I'm not trying to back on you, but I'm just trying to figure out. I'm trying to grasp how you knew these guys, or you get what I'm saying. I'm trying to grasp how you knew they went to the Sigma Chi. How that's what I'm trying to get to.
Yeah, some of them lived there, and I went up there and like hung out, and like, you know, they were all nice and everyone was pretty cool. I guess I'm wondering if there's like a thing, you know, because they have secret things they do in those fraternities. And
really?
It makes me wonder if, like, you know, questions like that, like, you know, if you were going to murder somebody, how would you get away with it? That's maybe more trying to like figure out like how smart you are. Somebody took it too literally, and
So it sounds like O'Brien thinks that if you can kill someone and get away with it, that's a sign that you're smart.
thought they could prove themselves. That's kind of my only thing, and that's why I don't know. That's why I call.
And you're defeated, aren't you, Brian?
You know, I really, really, really just trying to figure out how you knew that. First you said 5, and then it jumped to 10.
No, it was 10.
Well,
Nice
first
being
you did say
definitive.
5, though.
Oh.
He said 5, and then he changed it to 6,
guys,
and then he went to
and
10.
then you jumped up to 10. And I'm just trying to figure out how you knew that. I don't know the Sigma Chi like that. All I know is this Sigma Chi house is in Moscow, Idaho. So
yeah, and I'm not saying that Sigma Chi's are murderers. That's not what I'm trying to say.
No. I didn't say you were saying that, but to say that they asked if how do you get away with a murder, that's just it's a broad statement.
Yeah, man. It's a jarring thing to hear. It's like, what? Like, we're having some beers. Why are you asking questions like that? That's, you know, and I don't think they were asking for advice. I think it was more of a mental exercise. But to me, it's like not that. It's not a cute question. It's messed up.
Right. Huh. No, I see what you're saying, but I mean, you did say 5 at first and then changed it to 10.
Well, okay. Well,
you
yeah,
did. I'm just saying you did. I pay attention to what people say.
Okay. Yeah. That's cool.
But I mean, I don't.
Maybe
Maybe it was 6, 7, 8. I don't. Maybe you can't retract all the way and just said 5 because you were nervous. I have no idea.
I am nervous. I don't normally like call into things and do this kind of thing, but like this has been a thing in the back of my head after like hearing about this stuff for the last few weeks, and I don't know. I just wonder if if this was even more senseless than a jealous boyfriend or whatever. Like if it was just someone trying to prove themselves, and that's it.
And that's exactly what it was, wasn't it, Brian? Just some poor old broken nobody trying to be significant in a world of men. Out of his own mouth, he told you exactly why he did it. He was willing to sacrifice 4 people so he could feel like he was as good as the other guys, as good as the men on campus, the Greek gods that were walking around. Absolutely pathetic. Absolutely. Yep. He told you right there. In his own words, he told you why he did it. God almighty. I do think he sounds intoxicated. I think in this, he does seem a bit, his words are slurry a little bit, which maybe that's why he's not quite as sharp, maybe, as he should have been. And they cannot help inserting themselves. They did it because it's connected to their ego, and that's why they return to the scene of crime. It's why they call in and do talk shows about it. It's why they watch YouTube channels with people talking about the crime they committed, because it's ego driven. It was done for his own identity, for his own growth, for his own sense of self. Open format, channel of exchanging ideas. If I said something that is not in line, then let us all know what you think. Yeah, I'm pretty disgusted right now. Is that right, Mighty Mouth? Yeah, I'm from an area right there where the whole Bonnie and Clyde thing happened. I think the course we use this little online study as its basic manifesto. I think he's completed other murders, Regina. I don't think these were his first. I think he was drinking, yeah. Or he was on something. No, he was very shallow, wasn't he, Elma? Kathy. I'm gonna leave it up, EJ. Yeah. Wow. Okay. This is pretty heartbreaking. Okay, so let me move forward. Well, yeah, that's the whole Machiavellian aspect of it, Becky. He's trying to direct people's eyes and therefore the investigation into a desired direction. He wants the fraternity to be blamed. That's his goal. That's what he wants. Tommy, people always go back to what they know. That's the rule. There's no deviating from that. When we feel upset, we gravitate to what we know. When we feel frightened or tired or scared, we gravitate to what we know. Yeah, could have been Xanax for sure, critters. I'm glad you did too, Mighty Mouth. Thank you. He left a message at a number who he thought might have been him. Adrenaline, dopamine from Power Kick. Almost the makings of the dark triad. I got a whole problem with the whole dark tetrad. I don't really want to get into it because that's the whole, you can teach a whole semester on the whole thing. But I think it's applicable, no doubt, for the whole business, political monster, but I think people that are capable and willing to commit mass murder or serial killings, they're abnormal. There's a deviancy. And so why are you trying to fit them into the norm? Why are you trying to take somebody who is an outlier and move them into your sample? They're not normal, and therefore you can't understand them through a lens of normality. They are the outlier. They are the deviant. So you have to kind of meet them. You have to meet them on their own ground where they are, and you have to compare them to their own history and past behavior. So I do think there's no doubt the guy is psychopath. All you got to do is look at the collection of photographs that we have of him. It's always the same face. His face never changes. It's just the same face every time. I think he has already drawn really strong parallels to Bundy and Dahmer. And I think that when you look at the timeline for what happened at where the Idaho 4 were living, when you look at that timeline and then you look at the initial timeline that was presented in the Dahmer series, I think he responded to the Dahmer series. I think that was his I think that drove him. And yes, he got really uncomfortable. And here's why I think he went back to Pennsylvania, y'all. I think he's on campus and he killed them. And I think the very next day he went right about his business doing exactly what everybody else was doing. In fact, his contemporary friends, the people that were going to school with him at WSU, his professors, his students that he's in class with, they said this about him. In the days after the murders, he seemed more outgoing, more relaxed. They noticed that when in their classes, the conversation turned to the Idaho 4, he became very withdrawn and very quiet. But overall, his demeanor changed dramatically in the days after the murder. He was much more talkative, much more outgoing, much more relaxed. Now, when everybody left and started going home, he also packed up his car and went home. Why? Because he was scared? No, because he was watching what everybody else was doing in good psychopath fashion, and he was mimicking what he was seeing. So if everybody else is leaving because they're scared, then I too should leave as if I am afraid. So it's going to be very interesting to hear what he did when he got home. And he's already got 2 family members that have come out and said they are not surprised he did this. Now that ought to just piss you off. Because if they aren't surprised that he would do this, then why in the hell weren't they on the phone with the FBI? Why? So it's going to be very interesting. I will say this very quickly. I think it is unfair. You're in the wrong to say that his sister should have been able to pick up on something, that his sister should have known that he was a madman. You're wrong for a couple of reasons. Here's one of the reasons why. Just because the sister is a therapist, it doesn't make her an expert on human behavior. You can become a therapist in some programs, it's 33 hours, which is a year of study. And in other programs, it's becoming more standard for it to be approximately 60 hours. And that's 2 years of study. Okay. You're not talking about someone who completed like a PhD program and then did a full internship and then did years, in clinical work, dealing daily with abnormal psychology. Therapy is not the same thing. There's a definite difference in the 2 fields between therapy and psychology. That's number 1. Number 2, she's not even a therapist. She's in training. Everybody wants to say, oh, she's a therapist. No, she is in training. She is being supervised. She's brand new. And this guy that you think she's supposed to have recognized that, there was something wrong with him, this was her brother. This was somebody she grew up with every day. She was accustomed to his awkward demeanor. It was his norm. For her, that was the norm. All right? So please be polite. Don't go after her. Don't blame her. No. This is something different. What this guy's done is different. It's unusual. Just stop. Yeah. All right. Even if they knew that he was capable, what could they do? Report. Well, yeah, Alma. The laws have been changed dramatically. We don't have any type of residential housing for people with mental health disorders unless they've already become violent or criminally, liable. We need a place for people like him. We need a place that he can go and make sure he takes his medication, make sure he's being one. There, I'm not even sure in his case that would have even been helpful. However, you're right. We have very few resources. You wouldn't believe when somebody comes along that is suicidal, and I fear for their imminent safety. I can sometimes spend 8 hours looking for a bed in the entire state of Texas. You know how big Texas is? So we don't have the available resources. We just don't. Jules, what others see as odd family members may be seen as normal to that person. Exactly, Yvette. Yep. T-Rev never said it was the killer. A caller suggested it, and it blew up. This shouldn't be perpetuated when the originator has debunked and real caller has been found. Who's the real caller, Danny? The house looks quite normal. Didn't look like they were loaded. Looked very average to me. It's a retirement community. It's a niche community. The houses are on like 2-acre plots. The average house, oh gosh, I can't remember now. I believe the average house value was somewhere around 200,000. Community of maybe 2,000, I believe. So, yeah, it would be considered. These are all people that are retired. They're not working, and they can afford to pay cash for a $200,000 house. Those are pretty comfortable people. It is a gated community with 2-acre lots. They're estates, essentially. Yeah, Philip Markoff, that's another one. Yep. So it looks just like him, Tommy. Is it a woodsy area? Yeah, it is. It is a woodsy area, and like I said, it is a considered a niche community. It's all retired people, and yeah, if he is craving excitement and narcissistic and wants to be seen as, important, then being stuck in a essentially what amounts to a rural location in the middle of the woods, he probably would refer to it as a shithole in the woods of Pennsylvania. Oh my God, Blonde PT. That is my nightmare. That is my nightmare. Yep. They have to go to the ER. If you can't find a bed, they have to go to the emergency room. You can't let that happen, no matter what. If you're in fear of somebody, they can go in Texas anyway. Any emergency room has to have a mental health provider on staff at any time. And so if you've got somebody who's in danger of imminent harm, they can go to the ER and they'll give them a regular hospital room, and it is reimbursable by insurance. And then the hospital takes over the role of transferring them to a treatment center. I don't know what you're talking about, Gojo. What was the video, Gojo? Like where? Yeah, exactly, Anita. Oh, that's terrible, Blumpy D. I'm so sorry. Zav has got it up. Before disturbing video Bryan uploaded in October. Zav is given a trigger warning.
Just be forewarned. Okay, here it is. And actually, the music, I'm going to have to put a different song over top of it because it's like a really commercialized song that they're playing that I'm sure it'd be copyright. So what I'm going to do is just like it's basically just music in the background. There is some
Okay, so this is Bryan Kohberger's home. This is where the arrest took place. What you have to realize, I heard somebody say this was just a meager, kind of not considered wealthy. This house has got a large circular drive. It's sitting on more than 2 acres in a gated community in a retirement community. That means somebody had enough money to take cash and go in there and pay for this house so that they could live there while they're no longer working and not have to pay a house note. Yeah, there's money here.
There's a few little sound effects, but you're not missing anything if I just put a different song on there. So the song that is on there originally is Sabotage, so you know what the original one is. But they almost like add some sound effects to it where it's like
by Bryan Kohberger back in October.
I'm not doing it very well, but it's like, you know, when you...
Okay, so apparently this is going to be violent. So I don't know if there's people that may want to like not look or, well, let's do it this way because I want to be respectful of everybody. Okay. Let me finish what I wanted to say that was the heart of this video. And then, yeah, $300,000, $400,000. Yeah. For people that are not working, right? Somebody said they inherited it. I don't know. I haven't looked that up. I don't know, devoted to Mariah, but thank you. Bryan is eager to be exonerated, says his attorney. Yeah, I bet. All right. I'm not going to play it just yet. I want to finish up with things that you might expect from a friend who is a psychopath. All right. Well, we now know from Casey and her brother that even though her brother was best friends with Bryan was very abusive to her brother. He has since come out and told his family that Bryan bullied him in a really sinister way. So there's that. That would be consistent with a psychopathic deviant, that you would take your friend and you would mistreat them. You would try to bully them into doing things that you wanted them to do, and you wouldn't care that you were hurting them in order to get your means met. Something that happened to Casey specifically is he tricked her into driving all around the Poconos, is the way she characterizes it. All around the Poconos. Why? So that he could buy heroin. But he never told her that he was looking for heroin. He just forced her to drive him and use up her gas, use up her time while he was looking for his poison. That is, again, that exploitative fashion that you see from people in that dark tetrad. I've got something I want. I need goal attainment. I'm willing to hurt others to get what I want. And oh yeah, you're it. Okay? The narcissism, psychopathy, and Machiavellianism. The fact that the current friends, coworkers now, that they noticed that after the murders, that Bryan was notably more relaxed. He was even more talkative, seemed happier. And yet, when the topic of the Idaho 4 would come up, he would withdrawn to the background. He would shut down and become very, very quiet. So he would not return calls. People would call him. He'd never call them back. The only time he ever reached out to somebody was if he needed something. And yet when he talked to people, he intentionally uses really big words. He uses like lingo that's associated with a very specific profession. All of that is designed to make people think he's far more intelligent than he actually is. So from the little bit of information that we've gotten from Casey and what she knew about him in high school, the heroin addiction is something that we would also associate with psychopathy. There is a lot of substance use for that group. Some people have tried to say, well, maybe they're self-medicating, perhaps. Another thing that Kohberger has done in recent weeks, classmates said that he would make anti-LGBTQ comments out in the open, like just with no filter. He was highly discriminatory against LGBTQ in a way that built him up as better than anyone that would identify or support the LGBTQ. He looked at that as an anomaly. Let's see. Classmate says that he was far more animated after the murders. He was quite upbeat and had become more willing to carry on a full conversation. He was more enthusiastic, and many of us noticed it. A different girl said she noticed that when the conversation turned to the Idaho murder case, which would make sense because they were in a criminology class, right? When they would start talking about the murder case, that he became deadpan, like turning off a switch. There's that dissociative quality. Another friend, Norton, said that while everyone was glued to the television and social media and looking for any information they could about the Idaho 4, everyone was speculating not only on the murders, but on the lack of public information. Bryan seemed to have no interest at all. He was completely above the entire conversation. So he pretended like he didn't care about it. So that's the pendulum swing, right? If he thinks, well, I shouldn't show too much interest, he makes the fatal decision to show zero interest. We had frequent conversations, long conversations in our classes, and I don't believe I remember Bryan ever making a single comment. Let's see. His criminology class is said to be in shock after the arrest. Professors have described him as smart but quiet. He has a high interest in forensic psychology. And professor said that he believed Kohberger created intentional distance by making offensive comments about LGBTQ issues. He made these comments outwardly in class. Often, Bryan creeped people out because of his stare. He didn't talk much, but when he did, it was very intelligent, and he needed everyone to know he was smart. Notice the words here, the semantics. He needed to be smart. Kohberger did not have many friends because of many offensive remarks. Again, that is psychopathy. More people saying that there was a notable change in Bryan's demeanor after the killings. Another person said he seemed to be manic more days. He was showing up tired. He'd always have a cup of coffee in his hand, and he let his hair grow and his beard grow. I wonder if that was after December 7th. I wonder if that happened when the information about the white Elantra came out. Casey's brother described Kohberger as a bully who would often talk about others' flaws and insecurities, but it always seemed to distract from his own weight struggles. He made fun of me all the time. He would go after my intelligence. He insinuated that I was slow-witted and forgetful. He said I was too dumb to be his friend. Ugh. Slimy, horrible human being. He studied during his master's program. He studied under Catherine Ramsland. She has written a couple of books, How to Catch a Killer, The Mind of a Murderer. And well, she's got a lot more books than that, but those are notable. And Ramsland has already come out and acknowledged publicly that yes, she did work with him during the master's program. Kohberger's thesis project asked former criminals questions about how they targeted their victims, how they prepared for their crime, the travel details, and how the crime was resolved. Which is, again, that's the question that was posed to T-Rev. And Ramsland is refusing to do any interviews. All right. Okay, now what I'm going to do, y'all, I want to thank everybody for being here. I appreciate you guys more than you know, especially with my nasty, gross, sick voice right now. So I'm sorry that it sounds so yucky. Thank you for, hanging in there. I am now going to play this video that is violent. I'm inviting you to leave to avoid being traumatized if you would like to. Before you leave, I hope you'll give me a thumbs up for the algorithm, and I invite you to subscribe. And as always, I appreciate your comments left under the video. And then with that being said, any of you guys that want to leave, you're invited to leave. I am about to play this video, and it is going to be triggering. Okay? Martin, who is one of our buddies, Martin says, look at it through, closed hands. Squint your eyes. It must be kind of bloody. Is it, Martin, or anybody that's seen it? Is it bloody? Is it angry? Like, what can we expect to see so that people can make a decision about whether to leave or not? Thank you, Tommy. I'm telling you, I'm worn out. I've been sick for so long. I'm so tired. Anybody going to kind of give us a heads up if it's bloody or not? Uh-oh, Martin hasn't seen it yet. Okay, Martin, we're both going to peek through our fingertips, okay? All right. Blonde PT said, if you enjoyed the stream, show your appreciation for Jules with a thumbs up. Thanks for coming. And listen, guys, it's not a thumbs up for me as an individual. It's a thumbs up for the whole conversation and community. It's everybody. It's a side chat. It's everything. So if if it was helpful, if it was interesting, if it was fun, if it was insightful, if it was challenging, any of the above, if it changed the way you saw things, do a thumbs up. It just helps keep good communities going and cuts down on some of the drama community crap, Thank you, True Crime Snoopy. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Okay, let's go ahead. Very violent and very bloody, like Tarantino. Oh, God. Okay, let's see what this is. Those of you that are leaving, thank you for being here. And if you're going to stay and try to watch with me. Good luck. I've got my eyes closed.
The guy's hitting somebody, like you could kind of hear like boom, like bass or whatever, like they're adding a little bit of their own effects to the song. But like I said, I don't want to take a chance of playing it and getting copyright. So yeah, here it is though. But yeah, so supposedly he uploaded this. So here it is. Let me know what you guys think.
So something from the dark web.
Strong like a tree, there's roots where I stand. Oh, I've been running from the law. Hope they won't shoot me down soon.
Ooh. And now the guy's smiling and satisfied. Goon. All right. Stop shit. It's kind of interesting, isn't it? There at the end where the guy is smiling into the camera. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. He did it. The release afterwards. That's right, Tommy. Yeah, the afterglow. Yep. Vibes of American Psycho. Yeah, see, that's what I see. That's what I'm saying of Brewing Hell is he has got all of this drama and grandiosity, right? He's really deep in his delusion. He really thought he was going to be a successful Bundy, a Bundy who didn't get caught. One of these 30-year serial people that never gets caught. He thought he would be the guy. Now I haven't seen the doorbell ring. Oh, no, Debbie, you're talking about the guy with the ski cap? That's the big question, Gregory. Where did their paths cross? Now, I will say this. Kaylee Goncalves' father has come out and said that he does believe there's an intersect between Kaylee and this guy. Somehow they knew each other. He has also said that Kaylee was a true crime sleuth person. And we also know that Kaylee was subscribed to Chronicles with Olivia. So part of me wonders, is that the connection? This guy's been lurking around on all these true crime channels because that's what his delusion was. He wanted to be the subject of all of this information, right? So yeah. He wanted to be a Zodiac. Right, exactly, Regina. I think so. He built himself up. He was a legend in his own mind. And yet in his real life, he was ineffective, socially awkward. People didn't like him. He didn't care that people didn't like him. He thought that being offensive was something that just showed that he was more special than other people. It was said that he watched the girls' TikToks. Wow. Apparently, there's a family member that lived in a house that was next door to the girls. But I haven't seen that verification. I just have heard the rumors. Do I believe that he took a trophy? I absolutely believe that he took a trophy because they arrested him so quickly. Oh, he was so much more important than the Greek organizations. Yeah. in his own mind. In reality, they wouldn't have him. He was never accepted by the popular crowd. He didn't smile ever. Devoted to Mariah. You're right. It was terrible. I think he's devoid of any sort of emotion. I don't think there's an emotion there. And they have not yet found the knife. Yep. But he drove 2,300 miles. That's a lot of hiding places, right? Out in the desert, in the mountains, you know. He was addicted to heroin in his junior year of high school, I believe. Then he got clean, and now he is like this staunch vegan. There's a burglary charge as well, so that would indicate a trophy, as you said. Yeah, and I think the other great thing about the felony burglary is that sets him up for the death penalty, right, Gregory? If the murders happen during the commission of another felony, then that opens up the door to the death penalty. But there's 4 dead, so they had their secondary crime no matter what, you know. Taking Americans' information, trying to influence Americans' views. I don't know what that is, Nancy. Rage and self-pity are the only emotions psychopaths feel, according to professionals. Makes sense if you think about it. Well, professionals are divided on the conversation devoted to Mariah. They're divided in the professional literature, the peer-reviewed journals. There are a group of psychologists and researchers that believe that the psychopath experiences no corrective emotion, and then there is a group that believe that they don't feel negative emotion. I am of the former. I don't think they're really experiencing any real emotion. I think they're kind of like a shark. I think when they're hungry, they eat. And when they want sex, they have sex. And when they're sleepy, they sleep. But above that, there's really nothing else being satisfying. There's really no dopamine rush happening. I mean, you imagine using heroin. Maybe that's why he was using it. Maybe it was really one of the few times that he could really feel a change in the emotion when he was getting the, you know, false sense of well-being from which is a high level of serotonin and dopamine. I just don't think they feel much at all. You take Chris Watts, for example, and this is one that I laugh. People push back on me so hard, and yet, you know, I say, okay, well, so he describes that he just put his little toddler, into oil, the most unforgivable environment imaginable for a human being or a living creature to breathe. He pushes the child down into that. And he tells the cops that's where they are and where they can be found and that he did it. And then he eats pizza. Well, how is that possible? Because what we know about a body in trauma, you don't eat. Your stomach basically, you know, all the blood is moved away. So no, he ate pizza, he ate his earwax. He just kind of said, hey, you know, I did it. You know, she wasn't supposed to be there, quote unquote. No, he's a psychopath. He is absolute psychopath. No corrective emotion. The day that he killed his wife and his children, he was looking up purchasing a new Audi. And then, oops, there were those pesky little life insurance policies. Yeah, he ate his earwax. It's pretty gross. It was on video. But eating the pizza right after telling the story, there's your proof, okay? Oh, Rockin' Robin. She sits in a treetop all day long. I can't sing. All right. So let's see. What did Cree? seems he couldn't feel anything until he committed the crime, which would explain why he was so eager to find out what it would feel like to live out his fantasy. Yeah, I agree, Cree. I think it's well said. So they have no conscience or empathy, but do you think they have fear? I think they have self-preservation, right, Gregory? I think they have a desire to survive. I don't think they want to be arrested. And I think it, more importantly, for someone like Bryan, who appears to just the delusions of grandiosity, he's so narcissistic, right, that he's building this movie around what he's doing. He's building it up into something romanticized and larger than life. And for him, I don't think it was even about, I don't want to live in prison. I think it was, no, I can't be caught because that's not who I am. I'm too special to be caught. So that's what I mean by self-preservation. And I think the narcissistic survival, he didn't want to get caught, but in terms of the traditional sense of fear, pounding heart, adrenaline, no, I don't think he felt that. Maybe during it was happening and as he was being confronted by Ethan. But I think once he got away, he got cleaned up, he went to school not to school, but he went out into the community the next day. He went to class on Monday. He finished the semester. He taught his classes. He went through his day and in fact, people said he was more relaxed. He was talkative and he was visiting people. I think he felt special. I think he felt like finally he had arrived, that he was living in his own skin, that he was the great person that he had envisioned that he could be. Here he had done this and he wasn't caught and nobody knew it was him. And look how stupid all those dumbass cops are bumbling about. And I'm wonderful. And I think when everybody began leaving in fear and going home, he said, oh, well, if they're doing it, I better do it too, so I don't cause attention to myself. And that's why he went home. Not because he was afraid. He wasn't afraid. He felt good. He liked it. We don't know that yet, Brunhell. We don't know. I can guarantee you there are some internet sleuthers right now that are going through all those videos and watching. Wes Bentley. I don't know who Wes Bentley is, Patricia. Who is that? I think he connected with Einan Harsh. You think Einan was Bryan's drug dealer in high school? What? So you think Einan Harsh is from Pennsylvania? Exactly, DB. Yeah, he was trying to get the attention onto the fraternity. He is very eager to face trial, to be exonerated, and has even waived extradition. There you go, AK. Yeah, absolutely. He is looking forward to the limelight. Yes. Well, I'm sure he doesn't want any kind of attention on his family because they're not the story. His family's not important. He's the important one. I mean, come on. What about this self-obsessed video that we just watched? That was planted there for people to find. He wiped out all of his social media. He deleted everything. But why does he leave up that one that's sending a message? I brutalized someone and they can arrest me and I'll laugh in your face. That's what the silly video is. Bentley. I don't know what that is. I just saw an article pop up. I know that Steve Gonsalves has already said that there are links between he and Kaylee. He said he's not yet ready to discuss the connections. This guy's going to have to look me in my eyes multiple times, and I'm going to be looking for that truth. Okay, well, there's nothing there. That's not even an article. I can't even believe they put that. It says Idaho suspect Bryan Kohberger turned violent in high school. Norton said that the class had discussed how the murders had taken place and how it was crazy that they had no information at all and that we had hoped that we were all safe. Kohberger remained chillingly quiet and was deadpan. He had no reaction at all. Yeah, he's a complete psychopath. He's another Chris Watt, in a different way, though. All right. Patricia Ullman. Yeah, Bundy was in law school. But here's my problem, Pam. Why do you believe that Einan Harsh is connected? Well, like, where would this have come from? Yeah, he's hoping movies will be made about him. That's right, Diane. Okay, Regina. So Regina said they found the Elantra. I put money on DNA evidence that was there too. So it's been reported on CNN that they connected Bryan's DNA to genetic material found at the house. Now, I'm going to leave that there. I'm not going to talk about what that is. But they have a genetic connection, a DNA connection. So, yeah, if the Elantra, if they were to find Kaylee, Xana, Ethan, or Maddie, any of their DNA in the Elantra, that pretty much seals the deal. But it won't cause him to. It won't cause him to say he's guilty. It won't cause him to accept a plea deal. This guy is going. He wants the trial. He wants it out there. He wants to be seen. He wants to be feared. He wants to be admired. He wants to. At this point, it's not going to take this guy long because he's such a academic, intellectual. I got to be careful not to let my bias show. He pictures himself as a genius, right? He's not. He's clearly an idiot, but he pictures himself as a genius. He's got real big, true delusions of grandeur. It's not going to take this guy long to intellectualize his current situation that he's in. And he's going to realize, oh, I could become an inspiration for other serial killers in the same way that, Ted Bundy and all the others have been. They did. I've seen that conversation, Blonde PT. No, I don't think they had the DNA. They did not have a DNA connection until they took him into custody. And at that point, they were able to match it. That's the way I read the article. No, he's got an attorney, Gemma. Connected through drugs. Ega restaurants, 10 miles away. Einan neighbor to the house. But we don't know. Improper search and seizure would be about the only way, probably, Lisa. Okay, I've seen this conversation too, Mighty Mouse. I haven't been able to find the actual reporting though. But so here's the discussion, and this is a legitimate conversation. I mean, it's interesting. So Mighty Mouth brings out this conversation that they made the DNA connection because they took the DNA that was found. I think they found it like under Xana's fingernails or something, right? That she scratched them. But that they took the genetic material, whatever it happened to be, they took the genetic material located at the house, and then they ran it through this genealogy kind of thing, and they were able to identify family groups, and that's ultimately how they ended up finding him. Where are y'all getting that information, Mighty Mouse? I've seen that conversation in side chats. I haven't found a single place that posted that reported that. Oh, I'll look at that, Gregory. Thank you. Can somebody tell me where the conversation is? Why is all this conversation about the genealogical mapping? Who's spreading that? CNN said that. There's a box that you can check, Nancy. There's a box that says that you're willing to let your DNA go into a police database. See, okay, so the CNN articles that I read, they didn't say anything at all about genealogical mapping. They said that his DNA has been matched to genetic material found in the home at the crime scene. That's what they said, but they didn't say that until he was arrested. So I don't know if this is a lot of conjecture or what it is. That's too bad, because the police made it very clear the evidence that led up to his arrest was, as of now, sealed. Yeah, but I don't think that. I don't know. It just seems. Didn't they say, Cinnamon, during the police, the last press conference, didn't they say the car is what ultimately changed the game? I love Don't Fuck with Cats, Honey K. It's a great documentary. Yeah, and that's the other part of it. Must have got lost. My understanding is that is a very long process. They had his fingerprints on file. From what? Why would he have fingerprints on file? He had never been arrested. Maybe Pennsylvania is one of those states that they take your fingerprints when you get your driver's license, perhaps. But his fingerprints wouldn't have had anything to do with the genetic material left at the scene. I bet he wore gloves too. I'm with you, Nancy. I'm not even going to take one of the tests, right? They tailed him for 4 days. Oh, like maybe like at a restaurant, right? If he went in and he ate something, then they could take the fork and test it. Yeah, maybe. That's possible. If they had probable cause, they can do that. Yeah, he did not come back in the CODIS database. Aha, Coinky Dink has it. Fingerprints from playing security guard, maybe. The police posed as garbage men. Collected trash from parents' home. That is what is being said. See how much, there's so much rumor. If he was a bonded security guard, he would have had his prints on file. But that doesn't connect him, even if his prints are on file, that doesn't connect him to genetic material. You know he wore gloves. I don't know, Monkey Nut. I don't think I've ever had to supply DNA. Let me think a minute. No, I give my fingerprints. No, I've never given DNA. And I've got to, well, no, I've never given DNA. There were some other photos that show his nose broken. Yeah, I think there's lots of ways they could have had his fingerprints, but I don't know how that would give them a match to the genetics, the genetic material. Right, but that genetic mapping takes a long time. How do you know, AK? How do you know trash on the street is public? How do you know? Oh, yeah, I remember. Somebody camped out behind the sheriff's department. Speaking of which, AK, I had a chance meeting at Buttermilk. You know where Buttermilk is? Get it, Martian, but the DNA from the Idaho house matched his taken from the parents' trash, per CNN. There you have it. When you discard something in your DNA, please keep track of it. Law enforcement and the FBI can get DNA registries to rush the results. Not if samples are the same. 4 hours. How did you hear about it, AK? Can you believe that shit? Man, I just couldn't believe it. Like, I just shook my head. I couldn't believe it. Could have been hair. Yep. I agree, Death Valley. Good point. Does his parents also live in those apartments? I don't know what you mean, Rosalie. So printed 2 times a security officer. Yeah. Yeah, and it's going to take some time if he's fighting the extradition. It's gonna take some time to make the transfer. Sure, sweat, saliva. Saliva is a great source of genetic material. So I will tell you something I do know, Lisa Roboski. Okay, so he had an office on campus at WSA. He had a teaching assistantship, so he was teaching there and attending class, which is fairly typical for a PhD student. And the housing, the apartments that he lived in, are actually student housing. They're generally reserved for like married student housing, but apparently for that college, they will let PhD students live in those apartments rather than in a dorm or whatever. So he both lived and worked on campus. WSU has given the police full access to everything. So they were crawling all over the campus yesterday, is what someone said. I don't think he left in a hurry. He finished out the semester. He did all his grades were great. He had no trouble at all. And I think the reason that he left is because everybody else left. I think he was trying to blend in and do what everybody else was doing. He wasn't scared. He wasn't freaked out. He was very relaxed, according to the people that he worked with and went to class with and was friends with. They all said he was more relaxed in the days after the murders. He was easily engaged in conversation, whereas previously he was really socially awkward and never spoke. Oh, that was so much bullshit, AK, what she was misleading. And the judge allowed it. The judge made judgments on the DNA, and he had no idea what they were saying. They baffled him with bullshit, AK. It was obscene. The whole thing's been obscene. How he has the right to fight extradition. Everybody has that right. If you get arrested and you don't want to be extradited, you can fight it. And the only way to fight it is for them to prove that he's not Bryan. That's basically, no, that's not me. I'm not Bryan, so you can't extradite me. It's just dumb. He's stupid to do it. But it's a reflection of his personality and who he is. He'd rather make things difficult for people, even though he knows he's in the wrong, because it's his right to do that. AK, love you very much, but please don't get Eton, Egyptian lawyer lady started. It'll take us past dinner. Oh, Iris Eaton, she ain't no flower. You know what I mean? Oh, that lady, she is hard to take. Even her cohort in crime doesn't like her. He was methodical during the killings. Upstairs, Tommy. The second floor with Ethan and Xana was different. Yeah, Xana fought like hell. Yeah, he waived extradition, but what's so funny about that is he's going to have to try to prove that he's not Bryan Kohberger. Xana's sister went to the same school as Bryan. I haven't seen that, Risa. That's interesting. Ethan and Xana were collateral damage. I've said that. I believe that. I think he was surprised that they were awake. He definitely thinks he's smarter than everyone. Same university as Xana's sister. I'm going to tell you something, AK. I did not get the warm fuzzies when I looked up and there sat Barry Morphew. That did not make me feel happy. You know what I mean? Not good. I'll tell you what pissed me off about the worst of it is he's so, there he is in Aspen living the life, right? Living his best life, having a good time. I recognized one of the ladies as one of his sisters. The other lady was kind of weird because she had on these giant black glasses and she kept them on like the whole time. It's sitting inside of a restaurant. It was bizarre. Thank you, Voice for Voiceless. I appreciate you being here. Thank you. The Idaho court date is January 3rd. They probably won't make it. It'll take longer than that. Of course he does, you bet. Yeah. Yeah. So Eileen, my husband and I were having this conversation about him, and we were watching some snowboarders. We were sitting watching where they did where they're doing the X Games this week, and so there were some out there that were like taking videos and photographs and whatnot, practicing, And so we were watching. I mean, it was quite a show. It was interesting, and I'd love to have been there. Oddly enough, he is allergic to buttermilk, plus his jacked up knee. I don't know. I don't know how familiar you are with the Aspen skiing, but buttermilk is an area for skiing where it's predominantly green slopes. I mean, there's some blue and black, but it's predominantly green. And then there is Highlands, that's your hair on fire, straight down black, real skiing. And so and then there's Snowmass, and typically Snowmass is a wider range of intermediate type of difficulty. And the only reason, the people that we were with, a couple of them they love Highlands. They're on the black trails all the time. But we had decided to go over to the buttermilk because one of the reasons was to watch where they were setting up for X Games. And so we were just sitting, everybody, a lot of the younger people were skiing and whatnot. We were just sitting there watching. They had guys that were on snowboards they were in the half pipe and they were going, 20, 30 feet into the air. It was amazing to just sit and watch, right? And so we were just hanging out, and it is really disconcerting to look up and right there are 5 tables across, there's Mr. Asshole himself. And I said, oh my God, how is this even remotely possible? I never saw them ski. They were eating. They didn't look like they were wearing ski clothes. I don't know if the other people, they were just there with people that were skiing. I don't know. There was 3 of them sitting there. And And so my husband and I had this conversation, you know, and he was like, will he come over and say something? I said, shit, no, there's no way he would ever come up and say anything to me. No. But then my husband says, well, maybe he doesn't even really recognize you. And about that time I looked, and my husband turned around and looked, and all three of them sitting at the table were turned around looking right at us. And my husband looked at me. He said, no, he knows who you are. So it's kind of creepy. But it pissed me off. It pissed me off because he was, you know, obviously living life well in Aspen on Christmas Eve. Pissed me off. A single steak, one knife, one fork. Yeah. That he and Suzanne shared, right? Oh my God, Black PT. Oh my God, no. Black is not for beginners. Oh yeah, lots of famous people in Aspen. Yep, it's the norm. Yeah, it's not unusual at all to see Hollywood type people, big Fortune 500 company. It's where the royal family goes to ski. They ski buttermilk all the time. Well, I don't know, Natalie. It was should have secretly recorded him like Tyson. No, it's not like there was anything nefarious, you know. Thank you, AK, for emotional trauma support after seeing Bear. Yeah, it was not like I said, I did not get the warm fuzzies to see him. It's not, he's a weird guy. You notice what I said to Vanessa. So she never got into the courtroom. And on the second day, I had gotten into the courtroom, and I told her I was going to give her my seat, and I would go over out to the show barn to watch the trial, or not trial, but the preliminary hearing. And I told her, I said, I want you to go in there and see him, because I want to know if you have the same exact reaction to him that I have. That was my thing, right? When I saw him, I'm telling y'all, he's a weird guy. I'm not saying he's a murderer, but he's got some creepy energy. Am I telling the truth, AK? He puts off a weird vibe, doesn't he? And so I waited, and I texted Vanessa. I said, well, what did you think? Do you have a negative, like, do you feel like, oh, I need to get away from him? And she sent me a text. She said, yes, girl. I mean, she was like, ugh. Yeah, it's weird. It's a weird vibe from him. Oh, I'll tell you, recording what he was doing and then breaking down his behavior, I can do that right now. He did nothing. He sat and he ate and he looked at me. And he ate, he looked at me, and he ate, he looked at me. He does nothing. Nothing changes. He doesn't change. Am I right, AK? He's got the same hollow. He doesn't show anything. There's no laughter. There's no talking. It's just zoom. Oh, kind of like Bryan here. So is this just a woman thing that has this, you know, aversive reaction to him, or do you feel it too, AK? Oh, don't say that, voice for the voiceless. Don't say that, because, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. He is dead inside, no emotion. Thank you, AK. That's exactly what it feels like. There's no analyzing his behavior, is it? He just doesn't do anything. Like he does not. There's nothing to analyze. Kowinky Dink is still here. He is not a people person. No, charismatic is not the word that would be descriptive for him. Correct. Yeah, it's a weird feeling, AK. It's such a weird thing. It's so intense. It's so odd. You just feel like you want to get away from him. There's something wrong with him. Yeah, me too voice. Yeah, yeah. I put up pictures the other day to show that. All the same face. Yeah. When did Bryan's behavior start, Inquisitive Mind? They say he had a notable change his junior year in high school. Oh, I don't think so, Blonde PT. Yes, we've moved away from the morbid talk. Yes. Black eyes, blink stare, empty of any emotion. And Tommy, 2 family members have said they were not surprised when he was arrested. He did have emotion when he heard AK tell the judge, F the judge. What was it? What did he do, AK? What was his reaction? Was he shocked or did he laugh or what was it? Don't have that information, Inquisitive Mind, but that's a good question. That will come. Now that he's in custody, now they'll be gathering all that information. They'll be able to get access to it. I would assume, well, I shouldn't assume, right? I'm going to guess that it was one of the sisters and the mother. And that's all I'm going to say. The reason that I think that is because all the other family members have blacked their social media. Shocked and loud and then stared more. Did he say something? Oh, he laughed. Yeah, I can see that. You're his hero, AK. Yeah, I would agree, Tommy. They're probably looking into that couple that was killed in their bed. Law and Crime interviewed his aunt. His aunt from the maternal aunt or the paternal aunt? Well, you know what? Media is evil. You're making some assumptions about the young lad, Bryan. You're looking at Bryan as a young boy like you were as a young boy. He may not have been a lot of fun to have around the house. You know what I mean? No, I kind of look at the vegan. I see what you're saying, Inquisitive Mind. I kind of look at the vegan thing probably more as a result of him getting clean and going through detox from the schizophrenia, the opiate addiction. He developed a heroin addiction in high school. And I kind of think that he probably enjoyed the whole treatment process because it's all about him, right? And And I think he embraced it, and that's where the whole vegan thing came from. And it makes him feel special. Oh, thank you, Halsey. Oh, man, it has been a rough go, right? I hope you get to feeling better. My thoughts on him being a heroin addict. It's not unusual for a psychopath to use pretty intense substances. That wouldn't be unusual if you think about sometimes that's the only change in emotion that they can achieve is through some sort of substance. It's also not unusual that during that period that if he had the money, the means to purchase heroin, it was kind of the rich kids. It was a trend the rich kids were dabbling in. We had a lot of doctors' kids and attorneys' kids that got addicted to heroin during that period of time. What was very uncharacteristic in terms of heroin addiction, those kids were able to go through treatment and get clean and not relapse, which is something that you don't often see with heroin addicts from the street. There's a lot of reasons for that. A path of sobriety is a completely different problem than detox. Detox is just getting physiologically healthy and clean. But a path to sobriety is developing coping skills, learning how to stay comfortable, making healthy choices. And if you're living on the streets in misery, you don't have much motivation to stay clean, you know? You live in a $500,000 house with a swimming pool in the backyard, you got lots of ability to use good coping skills. So heroin addiction there was a short period of time where that became a thing for high school students. Not now. That's not typical now, but it was back then. If you type in vegan restaurants in Moscow, the Mad Greek comes up. Wonder if that's where he met the girls. Maybe, Natalie. That's a really interesting. Yeah, maybe. Oh, I think he wanted people to write books about it. He wants to be Ted Bundy. He wants movies made about him. Yeah, Regina. Eating your own earwax does not demonstrate healthy behavior. Neither does smearing your own feces like Amber Heard, right? Yeah. Not good when you start playing with that kind of thing. Doesn't seem like it, Liza. It seemed like he was still going to school during that time. We haven't yet heard Inquisitive Mind. It'll start coming out now, though. I agree, AK Rocks, and there are some publications that are trying to connect it to his master's thesis. That's my next step. I'm going to see if I can pull his thesis and see if we can get it so we can read it. He was stopped for a seatbelt violation. Wow, in August. He had only just moved to the area in August. He was only there from August until essentially December. Or November, technically, I guess. AK. You don't know that, AK. Maybe he's just never been caught. I thought the survey was a way to make him feel normal by finding others with the same thoughts. Well, he did the survey 220 something days ago, more than a year ago. Well, almost a year ago, which would be, yeah, I'm going to research that. I need to find out the date his degree was conferred. If I can get a published copy of the thesis, then we'll know the date that he presented and defended the thesis, and that'll give us more information. But he posted the save date of the announcement was 220 something days ago, so it may be, unless he failed to take it down, which would have been bad form, researchers. But maybe he wasn't conscientious about taking it down. I don't know. Yeah, I thought the wording was really elementary. It didn't impress as a normal IRB document, did it? I'm with you, Acquisitive Mind. I felt like it was rudimentary at best. I see how you might make the connection, but it was, to be truthful, well, I don't know. I can't say whether it was real or not. I don't know. And I did not click the link because I didn't know what it was. I didn't exactly trust it. Yeah, like he had arrived. Yeah. Okay, everybody, my throat is killing me. So I am going to end this live. Crime and Punishment would have been right up his alley with the theories on committing crimes. Oh, I bet you their case is solid, Liza. As quiet as they were able to keep everything. Yeah, I'm going to go maybe some chamomile tea. All right, everybody. Y'all have a wonderful day. Thank y'all so much. AK, thank you for the trauma donation. I appreciate it always. And I will see you guys later on. Y'all are amazing. Talk to you later.